Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The NFL and the NFL Players Association have agreed on an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine for Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson accused by 24 women of sexual misconduct in civil court. All but one of those cases has been settled. Watson will be eligible to return in Week 13 when the Browns take on the Houston Texans, who traded him to Cleveland back in March. So here's what happens now in terms of Watson and the Browns and when he can come back to the facility. The suspension officially begins at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on August the 30th. October the 10th, he can return to Browns facilities. He can begin practicing with the team on November the 14th. He's eligible to return to the league on the 28th, but of course there's no game that day, so he will make his return December 4th in Houston, 700 days to the day after his last game in the NFL, and that is a game you will be able to see on CBS and, of course, streaming on Paramount+. Now, owner Jimmy Haslam, general manager Andrew Berry, and Watson himself spoke to the media after the announcement.
I'm moving on with my career, with my life, and I'm continuing to stand on my innocence. Just because, settlements and things like that happen doesn't mean that a person is guilty for anything. I feel like the person has the opportunity to stand on his innocence and prove that, and we proved that on the legal side, and we're just going to continue to push forward as an individual and as a person.
But we do believe that Deshaun has strong positive qualities, and we do think that he's done everything in his power to integrate himself with our team, done everything that we've asked, and we do believe that as he goes through the self-improvement and self-growth process, that he has the opportunity to make a strong and positive contribution to our team and our organization.
I think in this country and hopefully in the world, people deserve second chances, okay? I really think that, and I struggle a little bit. Is he never supposed to play again? Is he never supposed to be part of society? Does he get no chance to rehabilitate himself? And that's what we're going to do, okay? And you could say, well, that's because he's a star quarterback. Well, of course. But if he was Joe Smith, he wouldn't be on the headlines every day. So we think people deserve a second chance. We gave Kareem Hunt a second chance, okay? And that's worked out pretty well, okay? We're hoping this will work out, and we have strong belief it will. That doesn't mean we don't have empathy for people affected, and we will continue to do so. But we strongly believe people deserve a second chance. We believe Deshaun Watson deserves a second chance.
All right, let's get a front office view on this from former general manager Rick Spielman here on HQ. Rick, first off, your reaction to the suspension, and what do the Browns do now as an organization?
Yeah, I think the suspension, it was great to see the NFL and the NFLPA come together and come up with a conclusion. Take away whether you agree or disagree with it. It's just showing how the new CBA can work, because they went to Judge Robinson first. The NFL appealed that decision, and then the NFL and NFLPA were able to come up with an agreement before it went to Peter Harvey to make the final decision. So it shows that the new CBA is working from a front office perspective, and from the Cleveland Browns organization, it brings clarity. It's finalized on what they're going to have to deal with. So you know that he's going to be out for the first 11 games of the season. Now you can move forward as an organization. Kevin Stefanski can move forward to get his football team ready to play and what he has to do for those first 11 games before Deshaun Watson comes back.
Rick, if Watson was your quarterback and he was saying he apologizes one day but then professes his innocence the next after the suspension comes down, how would you handle that? How should the Browns handle that?
Yeah, you have a lot of people that are expertise or have expertise in that area, and I think you have to come out and show remorse for what you've done. Now, I know I've listened to him. He somewhat apologized, but I don't know if he apologized truly, or at least I misunderstood it, to the women that were involved in the situation with him. I don't know if he really came out and said that, but he's maintaining that, and I believe in his mind and everything that he said, that he's done nothing wrong, that he was more apologetic for putting himself in that situation instead of the acts that happened. So I would have concern from a PR side, and how our organization is going to deal with how he's presenting himself into the media.
Well, certainly the social media reaction to the suspension and the comments that have been made afterwards by Watson himself and the ownership group is certainly not playing well. But, Rick, would you ride with Jacoby Brissett, or are you reaching out to the Niners to see maybe about Jimmy Garoppolo's availability?
Well, I think it's how much do they believe in Jacoby Brissett, and can he get them and manage 11 games? They have a very good defense. They have a strong running game. Can he be a game manager? And we went through a situation I'm only talking from a football perspective, that we went through that with a backup quarterback and got us to the NFC Championship game. And so I think it's what Kevin Stefanski and that offensive staff believes. Can Jacoby Brissett get them to where they need to go until Deshaun Watson comes back? And if not, then you have to look at a Garoppolo situation. But then you have to look at how much money I'm going to have invested in the quarterback position. I mean, they paid $10.5 million in the Baker Mayfield trade to get into Carolina. You've got the Deshaun Watson contract, and now the Jimmy Garoppolo contract. And if you're going to do a trade like that, is the San Francisco 49ers going to pay some of that price, or are they going to have to take that allotted what he's scheduled to make, which is $26 million? One, I don't know if they can fit it into the cap, and two, if they wanted to go get a Garoppolo, is San Francisco willing to pay some of that tab?
And of course, you were referring to 2017, Case Keenum, the quarterback you were referring to back then. All right, so if you're the Browns, I mean, you're looking at those first 11 games. You're a team that's built to win now. You have all the pieces, but now you're going to be without your quarterback for the first 11 games of the season, not returning until late in the season. December 4th is that first game at Houston. So as a general manager, I mean, what are you hoping for at this point? What would you accept in terms of where you hope to be in terms of your season win-loss record when you get a guy like Watson back?
Yeah, well, you're hoping you're above 500 and you're still in the race, because you want your teams to start peaking right at that point in December and play well in December through January till you get into hopefully the playoffs. But if you're below 500 and coming into that 11th week, then you're going to have somewhat of a concern. But I think this is too good a football team, and I think Kevin Stefanski is too good of a head coach to know to push and have Brissett be the guy that's going to carry the team. They're going to rely on their defense. They're going to rely on their run game. They're probably going to rely on winning close games. Just get it to the end there, and hopefully we can kick a field goal to win it. But they have enough talent on this offense just to carry them to be at least above 500 before Deshaun Watson comes back. And then when he does come back, are we going to see the Deshaun Watson we saw in preseason of week one, which wasn't very good? Or hopefully we're going to see the Deshaun Watson that they gave all that draft capital up for and gave them that significant fully guaranteed contract.
Rick, Jimmy Haslam was asked if, knowing what he knows now, would he still trade for Deshaun Watson again? And he said he absolutely would. Would you trade for Watson knowing what you know now if you were the general manager or the owner?
I don't know. I think when you go back there and you're going and making through those decisions, I know he was there was no character risk with him coming out of college. I think when you're an organization trying to make a decision like that, and this is a significant decision because of the allegations that were presented against Deshaun Watson. So you have to definitely have your ownership on board. And you can talk about the football side, but you have to also understand, how's it going to affect our football team because of all of the distractions that's going to come around with it? How's it going to affect our sponsors? How's it going to affect our fans? Is it worth doing what we're going to do, paying what we're going to pay him, giving up the draft capital that we're going to have to give up to get him? Is it worth that for our organization? And I don't know if I would have done that, but I don't know all the background and everything that was done to make that decision. But Cleveland sure felt pretty strongly about that Deshaun is the guy, and they truly believe in him, and they were willing to take all the problems and all of the criticism that comes with making that type of trade, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, no first-round picks now until 2025. Former General Manager Rick Spielman giving us that front office perspective for the Deshaun Watson suspension and fine. Great to see you, Rick. Thanks for hopping on with us. So because of the suspension, and he's going to be out for 11 games, that obviously means there's some adjustments to the win totals and some of the numbers that the betting sites are putting out. via Sportsline. Here are the Browns' updated projections at 8.5 wins, a 16.2% chance to win that AFC North, 35% to make the playoffs, a less than 3% chance AFC Championship game, and then 1.1% to take the Super Bowl.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.